doing our project to show you that we can make this work. You are probably not going to see much more problematic area than this with all these trees that we have around here. Dennis has got a world-class business out here. He makes domes for all over the world. He's got, I think, 12 countries that he's done these in. So he has a, oh, there is Pete. Hi.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Good to see you.
You as well.
So I guess we can start. You're here now. So anyway, welcome to our celebration of citywide access to high-speed internet in North Branch. Special welcome to U.S. Representative Pete Stauber, State Representative Ann New, and State Senator Mark Curran. County Commissioner Krista Bowes, Rick Green, and Mike Robinson. City Council members Amanda Darwin, Kelly Nider, and Patrick Meacham. Welcome to Angie Dickinson, Broadband Director for the state of Minnesota. Members of the media and press. And last but not least, our two partners in this project. Equipment provider and project manager, PCS. Thank you, Tim Johnson, for being part of this. Internet provider Genesis Wireless, whose representatives Jay Menke and Mary Loden have all played critical roles in this project. I would like personally to welcome and thank the members of our City Broadband Committee, Dennis Johnson, Lorraine Muller, Bob Streeter, and Councilmember Kathy Blomquist. City staff Renee Fry, Nate Sondral, Joe Starks, Carla Vida, and Sean Williams for their ongoing hard work and dedication to make this project come to fruition. It has been a long process, one filled with many roadblocks, but so worth it, as access to high-speed internet is a true game changer for the North Branch community. Access to citywide high-speed internet opens up our city to more business owners and entrepreneurs, allowing them to work from home and set up home-based businesses. Our students need high-speed internet to complete homework, distance learning, apply for jobs and educational opportunities online, and maintaining friendships. High-speed internet allows residents access to healthcare via virtual visits, as well as their medical records via internet portals. All North Branch residents, businesses, entrepreneurs, and students now have access to information technology that is part of the 21st century infrastructure, thanks to our vision and our partnership with Genesis Wireless. My hope is that other cities in greater Minnesota will see what North Branch and Genesis have done together to make point-to-point fixed wireless high-speed internet their go-to affordable option. All citizens deserve access to informational technology so that they can work, live, and play in the 21st century. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to introduce Renee Fry to tell us the story of how we got to where we are today. Renee, please. Thanks, Renee.
Thank you, Mayor Swenson, and again, thank you all for joining us today. I think everyone sitting out here today will readily acknowledge that the internet is a necessity. COVID made that all so clear, that it's no longer a luxury, it's something that everybody needs. But North Branch has known for years that there is clearly a core where high-speed internet is expected. But there's about 30 square miles of the community that has been struggling with basically nothing better than dial-up. And that's the challenge that they've been living with, that they've been attempting to try to address, and have come to their elected officials, have come to the city time and time again to find a solution. And I know that our EDA and our city made high-speed internet a priority about 4 years ago when they incorporated that initiative in the strategic plan, not only for the council, but also for the EDA. The EDA formed a task force so that we had a team of dedicated people to lobby our elected officials to be the spokesperson and the champion for this particular project, but we still needed to figure out how we were going to implement it. So about 4 years ago, I invited all of the providers, CenturyLink, Midco. I think we had Arvig at the table at that time. It might have been Windstream, but I brought them all together and I said, okay, folks, you are a provider in our community. You already have customers. We need you to come up with a plan to expand that service to the four corners of the city. And I was told, absolutely not. It's not in our business plan. We can't afford it. We won't do it. But if you want to pay for it, we're happy to chat with you. I invited Genesis Wireless to the table and asked Genesis, are there some solutions out there that perhaps we haven't considered? And I have to give a lot of credit to Jay Mankey because he didn't tell me no. What he told me is, I'll do some research. And I'm happy to work with you. I don't know what it's going to look like quite yet, but I'm happy to look into this. And I think it was about 3 years ago, Jay came to me and he said, well, there's some wireless technology out here. And if we put up about 24 to maybe 30 towers, we should be able to deliver internet to homes on a wireless basis. Not cellular, mind you, not satellite, but a point-to-point or point-to-multipoint system, where the backbone is fiber-based, but the delivery of that signal is from one transmitter to a receiver down to the home. And we put a price tag on that network, and it was about $800,000. Maybe it was closer to $900,000. So then I went back to my broadband task force and said, where can we come up with $900,000 to make this work? And we looked at all of the state grants. We looked at all of the funding programs that were out there, and we were told repeatedly, those grant programs do not apply to wireless solutions. They'll fund fiber to the door, but they will not fund a wholly wireless network. And I can't tell you how frustrating that was. And even my task force thought this is silly because fiber to the door, particularly in the more rural areas of North Branch, is just simply not cost effective. Why would we invest millions to deliver service to a handful of homes if we can use those same dollars and service the entire city? So we kind of let things go for about a year, and then COVID hit. And the phone at City Hall started ringing over and over and over again. My kids need access to internet. What can you do to help us? My parents need to contact their doctor, and we can't have a reliable connection so they can have a conversation with their medical providers. We had employers sending their employees home. And these employees were calling us up and saying, I can't do my job. And if I can't do my job, I can't get paid. But I can't go back to work because the state told me I can't go back to work. So what are you going to do to fix this? And the city found out that they were going to get COVID CARES money. So we went to the guidance that the U.S. Treasury gave us. And the guidance specifically said you cannot use this money for capital projects. It has to be PPE. It has to be public safety. And so we, again, as the Broadband Task Force, reached out to our elected officials and said, can you get updated guidance from the Treasury that would allow us to use it for broadband? And I have to say, Congressman Stauber, your phone probably rang off the hook more than any to find out if there was a way that you could reach out to your counterparts in Congress to send the message to the Treasury that we need language that specifically says we can use it for broadband. Because the concern for North Branch was that if we spent it for broadband and then upon final audit, we're told that that was not an allowable expenditure, the city would have been on the hook to repay that money. So we were looking for guidance. We were looking for something that we could hang our hat on to say that, yes, this would be an allowable expenditure. Well, as time went on, Senate research came up with some language that if we could show that it was going to be used for telemedicine, telecommuters, that we could probably make a use case argument that our investment in this network would probably sustain an audit. But now we're in September. And the state of Minnesota gave us a November 15th deadline to say it has to be constructed and operational by November 15th. Our broadband task force, our mayor, went door to door, contacted every elected official, and everyone seemed to think, yeah, it kind of makes sense. The feds gave us until the end of December to put this thing together. Wouldn't it be just a grand idea to give North Branch that extra time? Unfortunately, we weren't able to get that support from the House. So now the city is faced with a real crisis. How are we going to meet this particular need? And by this point, Genesis had brought in PCS Technologies to show us that we could actually put up this entire network, not for 800 or 900,000, but for probably about $500,000. That we could utilize 3 existing structures, 2 water towers and the MnDOT tower, and just build 3 more and serve the entire community with speeds of 100 megabytes per second download, 20 megabytes per second upload. So not the today broadband standard, but the future broadband standard. And so I went to my council and I asked them, we can use COVID money for public safety. If we do that, we can create some budgetary savings. So it's not going to cost the taxpayers a dime, but we can create some budget savings. Are you willing to make this investment in North Branch? And I have to give a lot of credit to my elected officials because they didn't even hesitate. They said, absolutely. This is such a worthwhile endeavor. This is something that the city has needed for so long. We support it wholeheartedly. Let's go forward with it. So we brought in Genesis, we brought in PCS Technologies, we built 3 towers, we put up the equipment, we did it in the middle of winter. You can't imagine I can't even begin to imagine what it was like for Jay and his team to crawl up these towers in January and February to hook up this equipment. The mayor has some incredible video of these guys going up and down the towers, but we made it happen. And 3 weeks ago, we were able to officially tell residents, contact Genesis, you can now sign up. So today really marks many, 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 many years, many, many hours of effort and commitment and dedication to something that is so obvious that it should have happened overnight and it didn't. So I want to add my thanks to the mayors because so many of the people sitting here today made it possible, and to actually say that we were able to accomplish something so critical and to make this happen for the entire community. And I know that we've got representatives from the school district here. They were at the table too because the need for their students was so real, so important, that when you've got that much believing in something, it does show that you can make it happen. And I think we need this to serve as an example to the state. And I would hope that our legislature will see this success and will change the legislation so that these grant programs will fund wireless to wireless programs, or fixed wireless, sorry, point to multi-point program, whatever you want to call it, because we simply as a society can't afford fiber to the door. I know it's great and wonderful, but there are so many communities that simply can't afford it. And this is an affordable solution that I think is worthy of our taxpayer investment. We've got some of the elected officials here today that helped with this process. I'd like to invite Congressman Stauber to the podium if you'd like to say a few words to the group.
Thank you very much. Wow, what a presentation. Mayor Swenson, to the City of North Branch, to the Broadband Task Force, today is about you and the celebration of the hard work. We talked about this COVID, what it showed, the deficiencies, and our kids not being able to connect. We want to remain competitive, not only in our schools, but our hospitals and our businesses. You talk about sharing this success with the state. I want to share it with the federal government.
Thank you.
Because Mayor Swenson, you and I had the conversation,
Yes, sir.
and we talked about, I sent the letter to Secretary Mnuchin, allow these cities to use that money for what they deem is right for their community. And it's conversations like that. It's the get it done attitude. And you know what? This is an example of a bipartisan, successful project. We need more people to demonstrate this, not only in the state of Minnesota, but at the national level. You have set the bar high. It's a roadmap that communities across this state are going to use. I can assure you that in northern Minnesota, near Voyageurs National Park, where it's all rock, it's not feasible. I was just up there in a meeting talking about solutions. This is going to be that blueprint for that area as well, to keep us competitive, because rural America matters. And to be out here today, this is our home, this is who we are, and we have to celebrate this. So with that, Mayor, the hard work that you all put in, it was all worth it. For many, many years, we're going to become successful. We're going to drive the economy. We're going to bring businesses for our quality of life. We have a quality of life like nobody else right here in Minnesota, and you've just delivered exceptional service so we can be connected. So with that, I am proud to be here today celebrating your success for many, many years. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Next up, I would like to invite Senator Coran to the podium if you'd like to say a few words.
Thanks, Renee. And I was with Renee and the mayor and everybody in this last 4 years of rural broadband, or being sick and tired of being 10 years behind in technology. You are also very lucky that your representative and your senator live in a technology desert. And so we share the same pain. But I've been also the leader in carrying the broadband grant programs, or the funding in the legislature, for the last, since I arrived. I'm not this year, but that's probably more politics than anything. Another member is carrying it, but it doesn't diminish my support for the technologies. And what are we going to do to make sure that everybody has access? And not just access. I think, Renee, you talked about, today we're implementing the 2026 standards. No, that's today's modern needs. The 2026 standard is just an arbitrary number that somebody's picked out. We have that need today, and it's not just the reliability, but the cost, but also the capacity and the speeds. This does it at a cost that I want to see it grow. I want to see the state dollars that we work on, and Angie is here with the Office of Broadband. I want to see if we're going to put our state dollars into it. It should go into this type of program. And the cost per household, it's exactly where it should go. And I know Jay and those guys got a lot of work. This is a great site here to prove that the technology can work in a forested environment. I was lucky to have, they installed in my house, 3 weeks ago or something like that. It was amazing to have a quantum leap into today's modern society. But when we do prove over the summer, and we prove that it has a reach far beyond the city of North Branch, by the way, because it has no physical boundaries. But when that does work, I think we're going to work really hard to make sure and put through some policies that drives our state dollars to make sure that we get as many of our homes connected with the technology we can, because of the cost per household is probably the only place we should be putting our money. And it's not going to work for every place, but I think it's one area where we can do that, and it should get the priority of our funding. If you think about what it's going to take today to do the state and fiber, we're only short about $8 or $9 billion. You know that's not going to happen, and I know Congressman Stauber, we appreciate the federal dollars that just came through in the RDA side of it. 3/4 of that was the fixed wireless, except as a federal project, and it's still probably 5 or 6 times more expensive, or 5 or 6 times fewer homes than we could do and by providing that money to the Minnesota Office of Broadband. So everybody contact their federal legislators, our congressmen, our senators, and make sure that they encourage them to block grant any future broadband dollars to the Office of Broadband in Minnesota. We can make it go a heck of a lot further and serve many more homes. So with that, you have my continued support. And Mayor?
I'm just going to interrupt you, but this is an ask. So when you get this bill passed at the state capitol, I want it to be the North Branch bill. How about that?
We can do that in memoriam, yes. We don't name bills, but we can do it in the textual part only. But it is one, I think it is what we'll do to drive our costs. We need more homes, and we need them now. We don't want to continue to be. The pandemic showed us that we were a decade behind. We leaped another 5 years behind. And what we're also doing is stifling the ability to from our education perspective. I've got a 13-year-old that's living in my home, 10 gig a day between her Zoom meetings and mine. So, well, that's half of my capacity for one day prior to this. So we need it for the healthcare as well. We're stifling innovation and the ability to roll out aging in home, aging in place. We're stifling that by not having that access to all of rural Minnesota. And so we're going to do everything we can. But Jim, we'll promise you that we will have a policy bill. We'll slide the name in there somewhere. But that we do have a policy bill that we'd redirect the dollars that goes to this type of technology and make sure we serve as many houses. And Jay, what was the actual implementation time frame? I didn't hear the 3 months?
Tim, correct me, we signed papers, I think, December 8th.
Yeah.
We had a contract, and
Yeah.
the towers were erected, I believe, in March, end of March, 14 weeks. End of March, we were operating.
So look at the time frame, people. We could do this, and we could cover. And so not only will we be doing a policy bill, but likely an ask for some broadband grant dollars at the same time to do all of Chisago County. It's a technology. I think you're going to help us prove it all summer, and we can meet the needs in the next year and a half instead of waiting another decade. So with that, thank you, everybody.
Next up, I'd like to invite Representative Newt to speak.
Thank you, Renee. I'm a little short. We'll see if this works. Thank you, Renee. And really, thanks to Jim and the City Council. Obviously, without them, this wouldn't have happened. And shocker, newsflash, government is behind. I mean, the way we are dealing with broadband and internet access right now is way behind the technology. And that is evidenced by the way we are trying to fund this through fiber to the home. It's just not practical. And frankly, when those goals were made, that was the best, most reliable technology. But there's something different now, and we need to catch up at a government level. And I just, particularly to Jim and the City Council, sometimes those are tough votes to take, right? They had a pot of money that could have been ultimately used for anything. And they chose to put it in this critical infrastructure. And so I just really commend you, Jim, and City Council for doing that. That actually was a tough decision. So good for you, because I know, as it turns out, no one is ever, you never have a vote that everyone is happy with. So thank you. I also just want to say quickly thank you to Jay and his team. Jay might regret the fact that I was one of the early beta users. I've actually been a Genesis customer for 12 years. As Mark mentioned, I am in one of these technology deserts. I've had access to nothing else for the last 12 years. So Genesis has served me very well for 12 years. But a few months ago, I went from 10 megabytes to 100. And you would not believe the difference it has made for my family, not only for me, as I obviously have moved to largely work from home, but with my kids and distance learning, we couldn't have done it without that service. And just, again, to commend Jay and his team. Poor Jay, I can't tell you how many text messages we exchanged. He was kind enough to give me his personal cell phone number. So as my internet went out, often in the beginning as they were working out the kinks, he heard from me a lot. We had a lot of communication. So they just have done a phenomenal job rolling this out so quickly, so effectively, and it provides such a critical service to our community. So thank you so much for what Jay, you and Genesis and the Genesis team have done, and Mayor Swanson and the City Council. Thanks so much for what you've done for our community.
Thank you for.
I'm a little taller than you, but not as tall as some of these others. Next, I want to invite Dennis Johnson to the podium. And Dennis Johnson's story is kind of interesting because I can remember one of the first conversations I had with him about the need for reliable high-speed internet. He was telling a story where I think he was trying to check his email, or he was just trying to do a simple function, something that all of us take for granted, and he couldn't get it to happen because it kept spooling. And he yells out to everybody, "Everybody disconnect from the internet. I need 30 seconds to get this one text message." And that was the reality that Dennis has lived in and operated this incredible international business for decades. He had no option. There is absolutely not a cellular service. There's not even a satellite service that is going to permeate this dense woods. It was his choice to be here, but the fact that he was so hampered and his hands were so tied because the technology couldn't keep up with him. And I want to bring Dennis up because I think he is one of the prime beneficiaries, but I think ultimately, I think he can speak to the challenges that we're facing and now have a solution for. Dennis?
First of all, I want to say welcome to everybody from my wife Tessa Hill and I. This is our home and our business. It has been since 1978. We actually bought the property, my late wife and I bought the property in 1975. When my late wife, Senator Jenna Johnson, and I started this business, we didn't know what the internet was, 1978. Megabytes, terabytes, what's that? some animal, some insect, I don't know. It's been 22 years since she passed away. We were operating probably with the same speed we have now. What I had was, if I was lucky, with our 2 DSL lines coming in, it might have been 1.5 download and somewhere between 0.3 and 0.9 upload on the good days. When it rained out, it went down. It's DSL, still went down. So what I want to say is, to all you representatives, senators, all you representatives of the government, this is a utility that we need. We have to have it. It's incredible when you get something that you thought you had, but it's 100 times better. We have an event coming up. We switched last year, had to do Zoom calls. We used to teach a dome school. Actually, it's set up right here. We taught a live dome school for 25 years, 2 times a year. All of a sudden, it's gone. What's Zoom? Well, no. We learned. We now have a high-speed camera. We now have lights. We now have lapel mics. You know, we got a lot of things that we're doing. We've done a 1-hour Zoom call. It started in December, every week. And we had people sign up from everywhere. We're talking to people from, I remember not too long ago, it was last month, I think it was, the guy from Liechtenstein was on at the same time that the guy from South Africa was on, and the guy from New Zealand was on. I don't know what time zones they're in, but New Zealand's probably the next day. Here we are, we're talking to all these people with this Zoom call, but it wasn't originated from here, not with my speed. And we were lucky enough to capture the days that it was good enough to connect on. It's originated out of Mankato, where one of the guys working for me, that's where he lives. And he's got, I think, 50 or 60 for a speed. So that's where it originated. We're stuck. We want to do video. We've got to upload. We've got to upload stuff to the cloud. We can't do it. We can't expand. And we do all the time talk to people from all over the world. Jim wanted us to originate the call on our computer today to the fellow we're working with in Israel, to Jonathan. So it's really, what I want to say is, this is a small little corner of the earth, small little part of North Branch. And for those of you that don't know North Branch, this is 36 square miles. It's not your little 1 square mile town, because Branch and North Branch a long time ago merged, and it's 36 square miles. But in this one little corner, we have this microcosm of everything going on. We've got a neighbor who's got a daughter living with them and a grandchild. She's going to college, trying to get a diploma, struggling with the same speeds that we have. The other day I said, well, you know, you ready? He said, ready? Yeah. He can see the tower that's sitting out in front with the antenna. All he needs is a whip antenna on top of his roof. He's got high-speed internet. So that's one of your next customers, Jay. The other guy across the street, sitting in this grove of trees like we are, runs a gunsmith shop, part-time. That's his part-time job. And he's making it work. But he's got to download diagrams. He's got to talk to people. He's got to have connections to the internet so he can read and study and discover the old guns that he's restoring. All of this thing, he's trying to run this business, and he's doing it, but it's been very hard. Somebody else down the road has got his son working out of his house, wants to start a business. How do you start that business when you got no internet speed? We're dealing with a couple that's next door. They've got their kids living at home. This is a multi-generational situation we're into. You're now back to maybe where it was in the 30s and 40s and sometimes 50s, where you had the families living together. The neighbor that's next door is over here, right? Yeah, he's here. His son is working, comes home, wants to play games with his buddies. So if Mike has to use the computer, he's got to say, well, no more. Wait a minute. You can do it at this time, but you can't game right now. And I've seen the group of kids that he's got, and they're in there, and they're doing their game playing. That's all part of this thing. You've got businesses. Everybody wants to run a business. And I'm talking too long, I can tell.
No, I just wanted to bring up, that there is another business here, and that.
That's on my notes down here.
Oh.
But talk about it.
It's Kids for Saving Earth. You mentioned the Earth, our corner of the Earth, and I thought, so. Pardon?
Say your name.
Tessa Hill.
Thank you.
I'm the wife, and he's the husband. So anyway, I just want you to be aware that we use it heavily too, and we have 2 high school girls working for us, remote now, but that's been complicated. As you might, it's just very, very difficult, but we have had lots of Zoom calls, and it's a struggle though, because it's kind of going off and on, and you're foggy at one point, and this is going to be wonderful for us. We're really thrilled about it, and we really want to thank the city and Jim Swenson, and I'm telling you, the city, we've got such a good group of people working our city. So thank you so much for that. And if you want to know anything about Kids for Saving Earth, it's kidsforsavingearth.org, and we always need help and donations.
It's a nonprofit. What I also will tell you is that we did analytics. Every week we get this analytics. So I just looked at last week's for Kids for Saving Earth. Yes, the majority of them were from the US, but there were 17 other countries that she's dealing with around the world. India, huge group of people in India that are dealing with Kids for Saving Earth in their program. It's an educational program relating to the environment.
Since 1989.
Since 1989. It was started by her son, who passed away from a brain tumor shortly after he started Kids for Saving Earth. And it's still going. She's keeping it up in his memory, and it's gotten bigger. So this relates to everybody. You've all got your own stories. You've all got your own needs. So what I'm going to say to you is that probably the words that my wife, my late wife, would have said to you. Compromise. Work across the aisle. Get everybody online. Get everybody online. Don't miss those people. And Jay, if you've got a free program that you can tie into that somehow for the people that just can't afford even $10 a month, let's figure out some way. Mm-hmm. So with that, thank you for coming. Thank you for hearing me. And thank you for this internet. One great thing, this is fiber to the door. We trenched a 650-foot fiber line through my trees with a $200 rental from the local rental company to get to the tower out there, because that's the only place we could get the signal. So it works. It's wireless to the tower, and we trenched it in here. It's another option. Cheap, easy to do. Thank you very much.
I want to invite the mayor back up and the members of the broadband task force, and we're going to assemble by our switch here, and I'm going to ask you all to join me in counting down. So the members of the task force, please.
We got a couple of them here, or we got
Dennis?
3 here? We got Dennis and Bob.
Anyone else?
Anyone else here? I just want to say I'm not standing at the podium.
Darren, please join us, because you were helping us in the end as
Yeah.
a technical advisor. I would appreciate if you'd join us.
I just want to say to everybody, and especially our representatives, we got a task force together 3 years ago. we started working on this project. We were ready, like I said to the governor last year, we were ready. And it helps to put in all that time, as Mr. Streeter had said. So we were ready. It isn't something comes up and all of a sudden you gotta get together and scramble to make this happen. We've been working on this for 3 years. I've had tears coming down my eyes, how happy I am what we're doing to this community. I am so doggone proud of every person that has had any involvement in this whatsoever. And I want to publicly thank every one of you for making this really happen. So I want to have this countdown right now.
So we're going to start at 5, and at 1, I want the mayor to flip the switch. So join me, please. 5, 4, 3,
2, 1. We're officially on. Now we're going to have a demonstration over here. Dennis is going to show you how much power he has coming in. He was getting like, what were we getting, 2 before? I know.
It's better than dial-up.
I was getting, like I said, 1.5, that's with 2 DSL lines. 1.5 down and 0.7 or 1 up. So.
That's 0.13, right?
That's way more than I get.
530.
That's that fiber shred. And gamers, watch the ping. It's single digit ping.
770 up.
So Tessa can have like 40 people gaming at her house now and still have internet. This is what this system does, everybody. This is what we can do. That's why I wanted you guys to see this today. We're so proud of what we've done. We've changed. We can change. For $1 million, you can do a lot of people a lot of good.
Before I invite the mayor back up for final comments, we do have water and treats on the table, so we hope that you would help yourself and just snack and mingle a little bit. If you do have questions about this program, by all means, you can call city staff, you can call the mayor. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have, but I want to again thank you all for coming. Mayor Swenson, final comments, please.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll walk right in front of you and take a picture.
I'm getting another one.
Thank you, Dennis, for being here today. This is the place I wanted to show this with all these trees, and we can make this work. First of all, I want to thank my wife, Barb, for being with me on this journey to get to where we are. For letting me be mayor. And supporting me through what we've been through. I really appreciate it. What a great celebration this has been. A special thank you to our hosts, Dennis Johnson and Tessa Hill, business owners of Natural Space Domes. It is truly remarkable to see how point-to-point fixed wireless has changed the ability to do business efficiently and improve their business acumen. Thank you everyone for making this celebration such a success and for improving the lives of our North Branch residents. I have alongside here, check out our Telecommuter Forward Award that we received last August 6th from Governor Walz, Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, Deed Commissioner Grove, and Angie Dickinson, our broadband director from the state of Minnesota. That's what we worked for this community. We were only one of 23 communities, and like I said earlier, we told the governor we had a plan and we were ready. And then the proclamation is alongside of that I made High-Speed Internet Day in North Branch today, April 30th, 2021. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate everyone. And if you have any questions, please don't afraid to call us because we don't have all the answers, but we sure can try to help everybody. Thank you so much.
I'll make a brief comment that tomorrow we are hosting from here a Zoom call that's 5 hours long on Saturday and 5 hours long on Sunday. And we were hoping that we could do it. Yeah, I was hoping that we could do it, so we can. We don't have to go out of Mankato anymore.